Hi everyone, Ms. Baynard here with your answer key for the Desmos activity, Match My Line. So this activity is all about linear relationships. We're going to be looking at proportional relationships and non-proportional relationships. All right, so we need to create an equation that goes through the point on the origin, so point 0, 0, and this point right here, which is 4, 2. So in order for us to write an equation for a line, we're going to use y equals mx plus b, where m is going to be our slope and b is our y-intercept. So remember, slope is a very special quotient that takes the vertical change, so that's y minus y. This is our y-axis, so it's the change in vertical change going up and down, and it's going to divide it by our horizontal change, so change going left to right, and this is our x-axis. So we're just going to use our two ordered pairs. So we're going to have our y's as our denominator. And make sure that the numbers you have in your fraction, that numerator and denominator, are coming from the same ordered pair. All right, so we have 2 minus 0, which is 2, 4 minus 0, which is 4, and 2 over 4 can be reduced to 1/2. So 1/2 is our slope, and our y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So it crosses right here at 0, and y is 0. So our equation should be y equals the slope 1/2 times x plus 0. If you don't have to include plus 0, but you can if you want. So that's the equation of the red line. All right, so for number 3, we're going to do basically the same thing. We're going to create lines, equations of lines that go from the origin through each of these 6 points. So they already did this one for us. So it's going to be the same thing. So we're going to use point 0, 0 because that's the origin, and each point to create a line. So we're going to have to find the slope of each point. So right now this is 0.35. All right. So in order for us to find the slope, remember slope is that special quotient. It takes the vertical change divided by horizontal change. This is our y-axis. Here's our x-axis. Remember, the second number in your ordered pair is your y. So we have the ordered pair 3, 5, and it's going through the origin. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 0 is 3. So our slope is 5/3. And our y-intercept is 0. So you can write plus 0 if you want. Okay, let's go ahead and check out another point. So our next point is, so it's an x-coordinate of 3 and a y-coordinate of 3. So we're going to do the same thing. And again, it's going through the origin. So we're going to use 0.33 and 0.00. And we get a slope of 3 over 3. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So that's how they got this equation here. Y equals 1x. So let's keep going. So we'll go through the next point, which still has an x-coordinate of 3 and a y-coordinate of 1. So it's the same thing here. We're going to use 0.31 and 0.00, and we get a slope of 1/3. So y equals 1/3 x. And if you notice, all of our slopes all have a denominator of 3 because our x-coordinate is 3. So we can kind of use this pattern. So the next point is 3, comma, -2. So our slope, again, we did the same thing. Our slope for this line would be -2/3 x. And again, our y-intercept would be plus 0. And our next line, so our next point, again, it still has an x value of 3, -4. So if we did the math, -4 minus 0 is -4, and that would be over 3 minus 0, which is 3. So we get a slope of negative 4/3. So negative 4/3 x would be our equation. And last but not least, we have our last point, which has an x value of 3 and a y value of negative 6. So it would be negative 6, 3, going through 0.00, we get negative 6 over positive 3. So that would give us negative 2. So our equation would be y equals negative 2x. All right, for number 4, we have to settle the dispute. Who's correct? Is Mia or Mark correct? So Mia thinks that this equation goes with the blue line, while Mark thinks this equation goes with the red line. So the equation, the way it's written, we have 4. 4 is going to be our y-intercept. So y equals 4 plus 6x, and that makes 6 our slope. So if 4 is our y-intercept, that means both lines would touch the y-axis, which is here, at 4. So that's true. So this would apply to both lines. Now we're looking at a slope of 6. Notice how this slope is positive. Positive slopes have an uphill line. So positive slopes look like they're going uphill, they're increasing. So that would have to be the blue dotted line. So that would make Mia correct. All right, so we need to create an equation that goes through both of these points. So this is point 0,4. That's also our y-intercept, as well as a point on the line. And this point, which is point 27. So again, we need to find our slope, the difference of our y's over the difference of our x values. All right, so remember that the ordered pair should be numerator and denominator. So 7 minus 4 is 3. 2 minus 0 is 2. So we have a slope of 2/3, and our y-intercept is 4. So our equation would be y equals the slope, 3/2, not 2/3, x, plus the y-intercept of 4. So that is the equation for the line. All right, so now we're going to create 3 more equations that go through the point on the y-axis through one of the other points. So here's the point on the y-axis. So that's point 0, negative 2. This is also our y-intercept. That's this negative 2 here. So our equations are going to be y equals the slope x, and then plus the y-intercept negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in for each of these equations. So now what we got to do is plug in the slope. And so we're going to find the slope for each one of these points. All right, so it doesn't matter which point you want to start with. So I'm going to start with this point here. So this is point 1, negative 4. So we're going to use point 1, negative 4 and point 0, negative 2 and find the slope. So it doesn't matter which ordered pair you want to use first. And again, make sure that the ordered pair is numerator and denominator in the same fraction. All right, so negative 4 plus negative 2. Remember, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So we get negative 2, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So the slope would be negative 2. So the equation is y equals negative 2x plus minus 2. So that would be this line right here. All right, let's go ahead and go through this point. So this will be point negative 4, 3. So again, we're going to use point negative 4, 3 in the point on the y-axis, 0, comma, negative 2. So we're going to find the slope. 3 minus negative 2. And again, subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So we're going to get 5. And then negative 4 minus 0 is negative 4. So the slope is negative 5/4. So our equation is y equals negative 5/4 x plus the y-intercept, negative 2. So that would be this line. There we go. And our last one, this point right here. So that would be negative 3, comma, negative 5. So again, we're going to find our slope using the point on the y-axis. So make sure your y-coordinate, and that's also always your second coordinate, is your numerator. All right, so again, subtraction means to add the opposite. So negative 5 plus positive 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. And we know that any number divided by itself is always 1. So this line, which again is a positive slope because it's going uphill, so it makes sense why our slope is 1. So our equation is y equals 1x, or just x, plus negative 2. All right, and for number 7, we have to figure out which equation represents this line. There's a couple ways we can do this. We can just create our own equation by finding the slope and using the y-intercept, or we can substitute any of these points on the line into our equations, and let's see which one is true. So before we even get started, let's see if we can eliminate some of these options. So right now we can tell our line is going uphill, so we need a positive slope. So let's see if we have any negative slopes. So right now the slope is 6. This has a slope of negative 2, so we can get rid of that one. Slope of 1/3 and a slope of positive 3, so that's fine. So we know we have a y-intercept of negative 2, so that's going to be our y-intercept. So the first one has a y-intercept of negative 2. The second one has a y-intercept of 6, which we already eliminated that. And the last two also have a y-intercept of negative 2. So let's go ahead and find the slope. So I'm going to use this point right here, which is 6, 0. And again, remember your second number in the ordered pair is always your y value. So I'm going to find the slope of this line using point 60 and point 0, negative 2. And again, it doesn't matter which ordered pair you want to start with first. So just make sure that the numerator and denominator of your fraction are the ordered pair that you're working with. So subtraction means to add the opposite. So 0 plus 2 is 2. And then 6 minus 0 is 6. So 2/3 can be reduced, 2/6 can be reduced as 1/3. So we have a slope of 1/3. We know that's our slope. So slope of 6, nope, not that one. Slope of positive 1/3, yep. And then slope of positive 3, not this one. If you wanted to, you can also just substitute. So you can take 0.06 and substitute it into your equation. So y should be 0, y is equal to 0. So I'll rewrite the equation here. Minus 2 plus 1/3, but instead of times x, it's going to be times 6. I'm going to write that as a fraction. And then let's see what we get. So we multiply fractions going straight across. So 1 times 6 is 6. And 3 times 1 is 3. 6/3 is the same as 2, right? Because 6 is twice as much as 3. Negative 2 plus positive 2 is in fact 0. So that's another way we could have figured out that this is the only equation to represent the red line.